I'm gonna share with you how I turned this $500 desk into this $4,500 profit. Let's dive in. First things first, where I found the desk. You might be thinking that I found this desk on Facebook Marketplace, in which case, you'd be correct. The photos were a bit blurry and I couldn't see some of the details on the desk, but with what was visible, I knew this piece was at least worth swinging the bat on. So I reached out to the seller and we set up a time for me to see it. When I got there, I was able to see that it had a bit more veneer damage than I could see in the photos, so I was able to negotiate down a little further, which ended up being $500. When I brought the piece back to my shop, I was able to examine it and was overall very pleased at the condition. I did end up having to put on a couple custom pieces of veneer, which thankfully I had some left over in my inventory, and then I was able to use a combination of toner and lacquer to match it up with the existing rosewood gray. If you're someone who's starting to flip furniture, or if you're someone who's been flipping furniture for a long time, make sure you watch this video until the end, where I'll also be sharing a complete cost and profit breakdown, as well as how long this restoration took. I'm going to start doing better at documenting each piece that comes through my shop so that you can see the ins and the outs, and also I'll be able to share some restoration tips as well as many other important tips that you're going to need to know if you want to start making larger profits. Since I was able to identify that the piece had previously been lacquered, then I was able to make my restoration plans by doing a combination of wood epoxy, some veneer work, touch-up work, followed by lightly sanding using a vinyl sealer, and then applying my final few coats of lacquer. The drawers also needed some work, but overall the build quality on this piece was impeccable and it was very solid. Even some of the hidden joints under the desktop had custom dovetail joinery. The veneer was pretty thick, adhered very well, and that was yet another sign that this was a quality mid-century piece. After about 3 days restoring this piece, I then transported it over to my photo shoot studio and was able to capture its beauty in all of its fullness. At this point, I had already started doing a lot of research, seeing if I could get official identification of who the original designer of this piece was. But since I could not confirm this, I decided when the time came that I would plan to list this as unattributed. Now let's talk about the key to this 80-year-old desk. Since the desk did not come with a key, I went through my normal process of reaching out to my favorite locksmith. And although they usually can help me out with these types of things, unfortunately this time they could not, because this lock was just a little too special. Which in other words meant I had to resort to just finding a random key that would somehow work. So I started going to multiple antique stores and asking all of the sweet old ladies if I could bring in my desk drawer and try out all of the keys that they had for sale. Thankfully, they agreed. But to my dismay, none of the keys were working. So I hopped online and started looking. Now you may be wondering, couldn't you have just sold the desk without a working key? Yes, but as I've come to find out, if you want to ask for top dollar and make the largest profits, you have to be willing to go the extra mile. And in this case, the extra mile was finding the long lost key. So I ended up ordering multiple sets of barrel keys online. These are not skeleton keys, they're called barrel keys. That's important to know, especially when you're often looking for old keys for furniture. So after trying 87 keys, my 88th key, guess what happened? It didn't work. But my 89th did. This is my 89th key that I'm gonna try. Went in nicely. Once I got a working key, I made sure to carefully lubricate all of the locks using white lithium grease, and it got them working beautifully again. So after I made a lovely video of the piece, took great photos, I uploaded all of that and wrote a beautiful description across all of the sites I list on. Speaking of listings, let me give you a tip free of charge. If you have a nice piece of furniture and it's in great condition, or if you're confident you can get it into great condition, don't limit yourself to only selling on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. Those places are great for low-end and mid-range pieces, but even still, there's plenty of what I consider mid-range pieces that sell on other sites such as Etsy and Cherish. So here's the tip: expand your reach and you will find higher-end clientele, aka people who will pay more money for the same exact thing. In order to reach this clientele, you need to be listing on sites like Etsy and Cherish that I've just mentioned. Eventually, you could be listing to places like First Dibs and other sites that are of a higher caliber. Now, there are a lot of up and coming third-party design sites that you could look into listing on, but as of this moment, those three I mentioned are the biggest winners for me. The main reasons I'm making this video is because Alex Hormozi told me to.
Find the people who value what you have the most.
I'm just kidding. I truly want to help people who feel stuck not being able to make great profits flipping furniture. Now back to the desk. After listing the desk, about a month or so went by before I started getting some messages on it. Then someone with exceptional taste decided to buy the desk on one of the third-party sites I sell on. The desk actually sold for $7,495, which after they took their commission left me with $5,396. Here's a screenshot of the order. Of course, I'm blurring out all of the personal information. So here's my total cost and profit breakdown on the desk. I purchased the desk for $500. I spent $150 in fuel, $160 in shop supplies, things like lacquer, touch-up tools, sandpaper, etc. Then I spent $80 for a few sets of barrel keys, including the right key that worked for the desk, which brings me to a total of $890 total cost into the desk. Since I sold the desk for $5,396, this left me with a total profit of $4,506 for a total of 5 days work. There you have it, how I made $4,500 on this desk. Now you may have questions and I would be happy to answer any of them, but if you're really wanting a lot of help, whether that's restoration tips, business tips, how to present your pieces, and all of the questions in between, I'd love to dive deep into helping you. I'm working on a course that's going to be designed for furniture flippers and furniture restorers who are wanting to make a more successful business, and teaching them how to strategically go from making a couple $100s profit per piece to many hundreds and even thousands of dollars per piece in profit. And also share with you how I've built a successful online vintage furniture business, which started as me flipping furniture for $200 profits in my carport to now selling furniture online for on average $2,000 to $5,000 profits. I own Revision Furniture, where I sell high-end vintage furniture online. I started out like you, working out of a mudroom slash carport slash garage, and now I've developed a very reputable brand where I deliver furniture all over the country and sometimes to other parts of the world. If you'd like to be notified when I'll be opening up my course, click the link in the description of this video. Also, you'll have another option where you can book a video consult with me if you have any questions, whether it's restoration or questions about your business or my business. I'd love to help you. Follow along with my furniture stories by subscribing and hitting the notification bell so that you know when I post my next video. All the best and see you in the next one.